What is up, guys? You know who it is. It is your allies behind enemy lines, Ryan and Joey, coming at you on this beautiful Friday afternoon, December 4th. I can't believe we're already in December, bro. It feels like it was just week one. It feels like it was just March, like last weekend. Feels like it was week one. But yeah, week 11, week 12, week 13, week 13, week 13. We're in week 13. Like I said, I mean, time is just flying by. But we have a big matchup against Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday night. Still thought it'd be a good idea to come out with this episode today on Friday rather than wait till Monday. Because if you didn't watch it in time, the game started, well, then you missed out on it. So that was actually Joey's great call there because I wasn't sure what we should do. But yeah, shout out to Joey. But Pittsburgh, we just saw a play yesterday. Didn't look good. Gets our hopes up a little bit, Joey. I don't know about you, but before we jump into it, how's your week been? Everything going good? We're rolling along here. We're celebrating this nice victory week after kicking that Cowboy ass last Thursday.
Oh yes, we're still feeling good. Still riding off that vibe. It was an extra long vibe to ride. We get to enjoy an extra day of it because this game was originally supposed to be on Sunday, but got kicked. Obviously because of the whole Ravens schedule rearrangement. But so we get to enjoy this almost for 2 weeks, almost a 2 week long Cowboy, might be the longest in season Cowboy victory we've ever enjoyed. I don't know. I guess last time we won one right before a bye week. So we've had two long Cowboy victory, rides to go on this year. So yeah, I'm excited, looking forward to see what we can do with this game. As you said, on Wednesday night or Wednesday day, thanks to the Christmas tree. The Steelers look like the team that's are just doing enough to get by.
Yeah, it's really. I was having the conversation earlier with one of my buddies who's real locked in, and he was like, he asked me because there's a lot of conversation going on, mostly on message boards, the internet, Twitter, wherever you're at. Like, are the Steelers actually as good as an 11-0 record indicates, or have they squeaked by and, like you said, have just done enough to win 11 games? I mean, and what I fell back on is good teams find a win to win ball games. That's what they've done, but I think everyone can admit when the Steelers are rolling and like when everything's right, that thing is right. Like it is a well-oiled machine. That defense is sick. You got TJ Watt. Obviously, they big time loss yesterday. They lose Bud Dupree, who it appears he tore his ACL, so he's done for the year. But Minka Fitzpatrick, all their secondary. Joe Hayden makes an appearance yesterday, has a pick six. Joe Hayden's getting pick sixes.
Totally read that play 100%.
Big time. It was a blast from the past between him getting a pick six, RG3, and Dez Bryant back on the field together. It was like 2012 all over again. It was a wild scene. But when that thing's cooking and when that thing's going right with the Steelers, I think they are a badass team and they're really good to be on the lookout for. But right now they kind of look like they're on this, kind of downward, I won't say a downward spiral, but kind of like a little hiccup. And hopefully that continues, into Monday night, because if so, I mean, we said it right before we got on, that looked like a very beatable Pittsburgh team.
Very beatable, and it is your proverbial trap game, as they do play the Buffalo Bills in a big AFC matchup the game after that, which become division rival. You got a supposed easy opponent in between that. That is your cliche trap game, as we should say. But as I was talking, it's funny we said a lot of these things right there. Obviously, it felt like 2012 with the Ravens out there, except nobody was biting on the read option on RG3. It's like the whole line would shift. That was the only difference between 2012. He looked like RG3000 running around out there. It was or 300, I should say, like a 300-pound version of himself back, 2012. But anyway, I was talking to my, believe it or not, my boss, who is a Steelers fan at work today, and he first thing he said is like, "You guys don't even have to practice. Just stay healthy this week. You guys will be fine. Just stay healthy this week. You guys will be fine." And then we brought up exactly what you just said about how, they just done enough. You talked to your buddy about just doing enough to get by. And, my boss is an ex-football player. He played for UT in 88 through 91, I do believe. And he says his only championship year was in 90, and he said that year we just did enough to get by each day. That it wasn't really that dominant team. And if you think about these dominant teams, the Patriots or whatnot, these teams that we've seen in the past, 49ers, these 15-1 teams, these Panthers, over the last couple of years that we've seen teams get close, it has been these dominant teams that have just been blowing everybody else out. But as you said, I think the great teams just do what they need to do to get by. And it hasn't been bad, quarterback play from Ben Roethlisberger. He's been killing it back there. So, you can rely on that out of him. That's been consistent, which really helps when you have to find a way to win. and that defense. It's next man up mentality there. They lose Devin Bush early in the year. It sounds like they're losing Bud Dupree as well. They have that dominant secondary, that dominant pass rush, the dominant interior pass rush and run defense. So it's not gonna be an easy ball game for our offense, to kind of mow over like they did with the Cowboys. But as you did say, they have to be on their A game, because if we'd have a very good chance.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Roethlisberger has played well. Obviously, that interception yesterday wasn't great. He's rolling back in the pocket, just kind of floats it up there. I wasn't sure who he was throwing it to, but you're right. I mean, he has had a great season. He stayed healthy, and so that's kind of been his biggest deal. I think the biggest deal for Washington as we get into keys to the game, it's going to be that secondary. 100% it's going to be that secondary. I mean, they have 3 lethal wide receivers in Juju, Claypool, and Deontay Johnson. Eric Ebron had a pretty nice game yesterday. So I don't know what the scheme is.
Ebron, just a quick aside there. Ebron screwed it up for all Madden people yesterday. He screwed it up. All he had to do was get 6 catches and 70 yards, and his card would have got a +2 upgrade, thus making his card twice as valuable. Thus, for all of us investors, I was one of them, make a lot of coins. It was funny, just not to interrupt you real quick, but that Marquise Brown and for the Thanksgiving promo, Marquise Brown and Eric Ebron were the 2 cards they choose each year. 1 player from each team. Based upon their performance, they can get massive upgrades. Marquise Brown had done nothing until that last play of the game, and that's all he needed to do was get 60 yards and a touchdown. He got them both in 1 play, and it was pretty good to see. But Eric Ebron got his catches. He didn't get his yards, so sorry about that. But yes, Eric Ebron, screwer-upper of Madden people.
Okay, so yeah, we got a little bit of a beef there with Eric Ebron. But yeah, no, so... like I was saying, their weapons on the outside are obviously everyone's well aware of it. So as long as that secondary, I mean, it's gonna have to be a bend don't break type game, because they're gonna hit us for chunk yards. They're probably gonna get behind our safeties. Ronald Darby, we can't have too many plays like we did on Thanksgiving against these guys, because that'll definitely break this defense. But if we can force them into 3rd and longs, 2nd and longs, I think we'll be in good position, because they can't run the ball at all right now. Whether it's James Conner, whether it's Benny Snell, whoever it may be, they just haven't been able to run the ball. I mean, they threw the ball 50 times yesterday and only scored 19 points against the Ravens, almost 2nd and 3rd stringers. So it's definitely going to come down to that secondary again. Bend don't break. We're going to need Cameron Curl to keep playing well. DeShazer Everett, he needs to step up. I believe he's back after being a little banged up, and like I said, Ronald Darby, Kendall Fuller, they're gonna have to be our big guys, that are our big guns, that are holding down this defense for us, and not letting big chunk yards like we're kind of used to seeing these days, and all these days, the last 10-15 years. But I think that's the biggest key to the game. If we can do that, we put ourselves in a great position to win this ball game. Yeah,
and I think you left a name off that list who was the top rated free safety last week, and that's our youngster Jeremy Reeves, who was coming in, and I'd like to see him stay in the lineup. You know what I mean? Not only his coverage, but his run support. I think pairing him out there with Curl, I think we have a couple of good young guns out there, as I want to call them. They're young guys out there. They're hungry, and they're doing a great job, and I'm glad that Ron Rivera, I guess I read an article that had the foresight to see, I wanted to, bring in Eric Reed, but I wanted him to get his feet wet a little bit before I put him on the team, and I was going to bring this guy up, while that happened. And now, it looks like we've got these guys, and, look like Landon Collins might not play another down with us, and we keep having this the way that these safeties keep playing. We got ourselves some good young people playing the position back there. But you said it right there. We cannot get the big play done. We cannot get beat down the field by Chase Claypool, by Deontay Johnson, by Juju Smith. It's gonna be a challenge to make sure that all you can't double all of them. You can't have support for all of them. So it's gonna be a challenge to see what they do. And I think if we did learn anything from the Cowboys game, defensively, that they had to focus on was that they're giving up the big play, because that stuck out like a sore thumb as the only mistakes of the game, really defensively. So hopefully that has been addressed, and they got some, they got a chance to scout this film and dissect it a little bit and see what they were doing yesterday. But you're right, they're brittle backs. Their running backs are brittle. They can't run because they're both hurt all the time. Benny Snell is 1 hit away. James Conner is questionable as it is, and if he gets back, was he on the COVID list though? But they haven't been able to stay on the field. So without that continuity, their run game is not the threat. So if we can get that pass rush going, and send the beast like we were sending them late, Montez Sweat, Chase Young, and get them in there. Get Jonathan Allen up the middle. Deron Payne. Get that presence felt. I think we have a very good chance.
Absolutely, I agree. And the Ravens were getting a pretty good pressure on Ben Roethlisberger yesterday, or excuse me, 2 days ago. And so if they can continue doing that, he wasn't panicking. Ben Roethlisberger, he's pretty good in the pocket. He's decent. He's still good outside the pocket. First and foremost, if we get to him, you got to make sure you wrap him up, because that bastard will find a way to get rid of the game, or get rid of the ball downfield.
That's Carson Wentz before Carson Wentz.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you get those arms like pinned down around him so he can't find a way to get it out of there. But he wasn't panicking, but he could he could feel the pressure, and sometimes he got a little happy feet, and that's kind of what led to that first interception, in the red zone, where he just kind of floated up there as he was pedaling backwards. So, I definitely agree. We get that pressure up in his face. Maybe we make him make some hasty decisions. We got to capitalize on any possible turnovers for sure. I mean, I think it's going to be huge for this offense, and this is going to sound, kind of dumb brain, but it's true. I think we have to capitalize on as many scoring chances as possible. You know what I mean? I don't know that we can go tit for tat with them. If we get a turnover, it's got to turn into some kind of points. If we hold them on a fourth down, it's got to turn into some kind of points. And like, it's going to sound dumb of like, hey, obviously you want to score as much as possible, but I don't think we're not equipped. I think on both sides of the ball, on either side of the ball, I don't think we're equipped to try to go blow for blow with them, or else we'll end up like Nate Robinson did last weekend. If we try to stand in the middle of the ring with them.
They're still coming. They're still coming, Nate. Yes, they are.
But you know what I mean, like, because their defense is sick, so we have to score as many times as possible and still hold. Like I said, we're both sides of the ball. Their defense is sick. Our offense is still pretty good. I mean, when it's rolling, it's rolling. If Antonio Gibson can get going again and take some pressure off Alex Smith, where he can just dink and dunk it down the field, that's fine with me. But like I said, it's gonna,
and your dog as well, and your dog as well.
Judge thinks so too. He agrees 100%.
Is that word?
But yeah. So I mean, like I said, we're gonna have to bend don't break on defense and make sure that any chance we can to capitalize on turnovers, on stopping on fourth down, and scoring, we absolutely have to capitalize on first and foremost.
Definitely, and it's so crazy. This last weekend we see the Mike Tyson fight. They have a reboot of Animaniacs. Last night, if you're a wrestling fan, you saw Sting make his return to AEW wrestling and say he's going to be a wrestler again. So it feels like this early 90s feel we've got going on right now. What the early 90s also had was a great Washington football team, if that's one thing. So we're in this 90s mindset, everything comes around. I feel this coming around as well, and it's going to be a reboot of this organization. I saw a great statement, made by our new president, talking about how everyone, how you treat people as human beings rather than treat them as what they can do for you. And I think that's how the mentality they're taking on, and really getting to know the players and really building this, a core family within this organization. You can see that in all the post-game celebrations, the way the players interact with each other on the sidelines, on the field. And I think if we can continue to grow that, it's going to transfer onto the field. And with the big boost we had last week, you brought it up, Antonio Gibson. With the big, the focus he got, getting those 3 touchdowns, he catapulted right into the Rookie of the Year conversation, the Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation instantly, and has put it out there as probably the best running back coming out of the draft last year. So I think you got to capitalize a game. I saw a poll going by on Twitter, and it had I think over 10,000 votes. And I was talking about which rookie running back would you want to build your franchise around, and Antonio Gibson took the cake. It was like it had Swift, Allaire, and old boy from Jacksonville, I forget his name, but
Chase Robinson.
Yes, and but yeah, it was like 60%. 60-70% was Antonio Gibson. I think the whole NFL is finding out about him right now, and I think this is the game where you're almost put into a primetime position, into a position a lot of people are going to be watching on Monday, and you got to capitalize on that. That Washington-Dallas game was the most watched football game of 2020. So you have a lot of eyes on a Washington football team that did that to a Dallas Cowboys team. So a lot of players got the spotlight. Scary Terry, the Alex Smith story, Chase Young, Antonio Gibson got a lot of spotlight that they hadn't received yet. They had a lot of spotlight, but they hadn't received it yet. So now it's time to continue that family push I'm talking about, that foundation, and to have it produce on the field. So I think that we just keep doing what got us here, pounding the ball, protecting the ball with Alex Smith, hitting Scary Terry when we can, Logan Thomas over the middle, and then on defense, pass rushing, controlling the run, and making sure that secondary is bend, don't break.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, especially with your point about, how many eyes were on that Cowboys game, because you put yourself on the map if you're Antonio Gibson. Chase Young's kind of already on the map because he's considered the best player to come out of the draft, even though he's taken number 2. Alex Smith, like you said, he's been around, and the story everyone's well aware. But if you're a guy like Antonio Gibson, and now following that we have we have another primetime game, that assumably you're gonna have a lot of eyeballs on, from the nation. So yeah, I mean, just as a player, as a team, as bad as the record may seem, as bad as the division may seem, if we put up another good performance, we could be put on the forefront of people's minds like, hey, this might actually not be a very bad team. This might actually be a decent team. And I feel like that's the case with both us. Now, and I said it on Monday's show. That was the case with the Giants before Daniel Jones goes down, but it looks like he's going to miss some time. So they probably take a couple steps back there. So I think we're kind of vaulted to the forefront of winning this division. We're kind of put in the driver's seat there. So if you're a guy like Antonio Gibson, just keep your head down. Keep working. Once you score that touchdown, yeah, you can show off that grill all you want, baby. But like I said, keep pounding the ball. Make sure we find Scary Terry, the number 1 ranked PFF wide receiver in his second year. So not only do we have the top ranked rookie running back, but now we have the top ranked second year wide receiver. I mean,
and defensive player.
And I mean, it's just the list goes on and on right now. Right. Yeah. The list goes on and on. I mean, for a while, wasn't Jonathan Allen ranked one of the top interior linemen?
Last 4 weeks.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like this is a good team. Like, well, these are good players. We're our first year under a head coach. You had a tweet earlier saying it's beat the Cowboys, make the playoffs, win the Super Bowl. Guess what? We did. We beat the Cowboys. We swept them in the first year of Ron Rivera's tenure. We might make the playoffs as well. I'm not setting my hopes on the Super Bowl just yet. I'm going to pump the brakes on that. But, we checked the 2 of those boxes off. I mean, the sky's the limit with the guys that we got on this roster and the guys that we're building towards, the guys that we now have in the front office. You mentioned the brand new president and then Ron Rivera kind of run the show. So, we're heading the right direction right now, but we got to make sure that when we get on national TV, we don't embarrass ourselves like we usually do.
We don't have Kirk Cousins. He was one of our biggest directors of doing that. Yes, you're exactly right. And one of the things, I work with kids, as some of you might know, and I know you know. But one of the things I always tell adults, and as I work with kids, is one of the things I won't tell them, they're not going to believe me, but I tell the adults working with them, once a kid believes he can do something, it's one of the most great things to watch. You'll be able to see that as you have your child growing. Once a kid masters one thing and sees that he can do it successfully, it's the confidence, what you can do is endless. And I see that, in our team right now. You go out there on the Cowboys and put a game like that and continue to get this recognition, continue to see this growth, continue to see that your hard work is paying off, and believe that you are, that you are a different team, that you're not the same old Washington, Redskins. You're not the Washington Redskins. You're the Washington football team now, and you are a new culture. And you start believing that, then the sky's the limit. Like I said, it's impossible. It's a game of inches. As we talked about it before. That's very, even though the Jets are pretty bad, it's very, as we've seen in many games though, it's a very thin line between the worst and best teams on a lot of days. Between these games, and you get a team that believes in themselves and is going, like we said, in the right direction. The things keep getting better and building upon themselves. You put them in a chance, and obviously there's going to be an added interest as being the team that could possibly knock off an undefeated team, in a primetime spot. If that's not enough juice for you as a competitive person or as a player, I don't know what is. Yeah. So you put that formula, in that, and then a team that's kind of banged up, coming off a weird schedule shift, and looking forward to a Buffalo game. It is a recipe for a successful day and a spot that we really can take that next step. For our organization and for us as fans to actually believe in them. Yeah,
no, well put. I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Well, I don't have anything else as far as looking forward to this game. I don't know if you have anything else to add. Like I said, just that bend don't break secondary, get a good pass rush, run the ball, run the ball. You have to capitalize on every opportunity you have. I mean, like I said, it's gonna sound dumb, it's gonna sound obvious, but it's true. Like, sometimes in some games you can get away with turning the ball over once or twice. You can get away with maybe giving up a big play. You can get away with getting a turnover and then not turning into points. I don't think that's going to be the case. Even though if they are a beaten, battered team right now, they're as far as health wise. That this weird schedule, I think that had a lot to do with why that game was so sloppy on Wednesday, was because everyone's out of their normal routine. You're planning on playing Thursday, then you're planning on playing Sunday, then Tuesday, and now you're playing Wednesday. Almost a week later, you're playing 6 days later than you had originally planned to be playing that game. It just kind of throws everything out of whack. So like you said, I think it's, a little dash of that, a little dash of this, a little salt, a little taste of that. That's a perfect recipe for let's bring it back around, for our casserole.
For our casserole. Can it be ding, ding, ding done? It would be time. If we win this game, I think the casserole is done and we can pull it out and eat it. I definitely believe if we win this game, I'm ready to eat this casserole, because I don't know what it would do for this franchise to win a game like this. This is, when was our last 11-0 team? Was it the Chiefs a few years ago? I think they were 11-0. They might have only been 9-0. But again, the path narrows and it gets tougher and tougher. And it would be monumental for coming off this performance, for our team who's trying to win a division, to go out there and put up and even if we don't win, to put up a good game against this team and show that we are, of course, win. Of course, we want to win. But just don't go up there and put up that, goose egg and get smoked. That's what we don't want to see.
That's 1,000% what we don't want to see. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully future us isn't going to be hating past us, on Monday. We're not like...
Yeah, Monday us is like, we hate that optimistic Friday version of us that said that we had a chance. And, the great things, we're a family.
Exactly.
No.
Well, as always... Make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed on Apple iTunes. Like, rate, review, subscribe on there. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. Go like our Facebook, at AlliesBEL on Twitter, at Allies Behind Enemy. Well, if you're on our YouTube, you know our YouTube right now. But if you're listening on Apple, we're Allies Behind Enemy Lines on YouTube. So go check it out. Subscribe there. Ring that notification bell. So as soon as this video drops, you are alerted. You can watch. You can get juiced up with us. You can get optimistic with us as well, going into your weekend feeling good, feeling fine, and then maybe run it back and watch it again Monday, so you get a little optimistic right before the game. Exactly. There's an idea. Yeah, like I said, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Joy, unless you don't have any, do you have any closing words for us?
Well, yes, you can be optimistic with us, be prime optimistic prime, but on Monday we want to be doing one thing, and that's
playing that victory trombone, baby. I know that's right.
We want, or on Tuesday when we wake up, we're gonna be
sipping that sweet, sweet wine, sweet, sweet coffee, smelling that sweet, sweet air, listen to those birds sing that sweet, sweet song. Everything is gonna be all right.
You know the drill, you know the routine. That's what's gonna happen on Tuesday. It's gonna be one of the best, sweetest tasted coffees we've ever had. We're gonna wake up like. It's gonna feel like a Super Bowl victory. That's what it's gonna feel like for our franchise, to knock off this undefeated team. That's what it's gonna feel like for our team. We haven't had a win. Think about a biggest win we've had since then. Would it be the Cowboys in 2012?
Yeah, maybe.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we can cheer our minds off. We would cheer our minds off, our asses off, our balls off, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna do it.
We're just gonna cheer everything off.
Exactly. We're gonna be nothing. We're gonna be cheered out.
Right on. Well, until Tuesday, we'll drop our wrap-up show on Tuesday, obviously, instead of Monday, since we play on Monday night. And we'll be back on the same schedule Friday of next week for a little preview game or preview show. But until then, like I said, make sure you're subscribed on everywhere you can be. Make sure you're following everything. Make sure you're telling friends, family, maybe tell a stranger. Like, hey, guess what? I know this awesome podcast. You should listen to it. You should watch it.
Everybody needs allies.
Spread some holiday cheer.
Everybody needs # everybody needs allies. So
there you go. I love it. Well, until next week when we're celebrating that victory, we'll see y'all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Y'all take care.